day 2.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Now over to Nistha. Kindly take the charge.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Department of English at DAV PG College, Varanasi, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the second day of our 1 week online national workshop titled Enduring Scars Trauma, Identity, and Survival in Holocaust Literature. I am Nishtha, a student of MA Previous, and I am honored to welcome you all today. As we begin today's session, I would like to warmly welcome our esteemed resource person, Dr. Annie Vimala D. I also extend a warm welcome to our professors, esteemed guests from other institutions, participants, and dear friends. We look forward to an enriching and thought provoking session ahead. To refresh your memory, in yesterday's session, we delved into the concept of trauma. We began by discussing its origins and how it is perceived across different fields. We also explored Freud's view on trauma, touching upon topics such as hysteria, neurosis, and how trauma affects a person's psyche. Additionally, we covered Kathy Carruth's interpretation of trauma, which she views as an event that fragments consciousness and prevents direct linguistic representation. We further discussed how trauma has permeated various genres of literature, including war literature, post-colonial literature, feminist literature, and Dalit literature, among others. Like yesterday, today's session will be highly interactive. Ma'am asked a question yesterday. What other genocides do you know about, other than the Holocaust? Kindly share your answers in the chat box. Now, without further ado, I invite Dr. Annie to begin today's presentation.
Yes. Okay. I'm just giving 5 minutes to the 5 minutes the session is open to everybody. Now tell me quickly what is genocide and give me one example of genocide and then we will move on to today's session. You can open your mic and then you can speak. Systematic extermination of group waste, okay. The hero, no, give me an explanation. Nambia is right, but how? What happened there? Who killed who? Things like that. Can you be more specific? Yes, please. On your mic and speak. I told you yesterday that this is not going to be a monologue. I want even you people to talk. Yes, of course, mass killing is genocide, but why do they kill? That's my question. There are a lot of answers from Saurav Kumar. Can you on your mic and speak, Saurav?
Yeah, Trina, you can also, or the whosoever has written, they can unmute themselves and can speak.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Tell me, give me one example of genocide from the
Uh,
so many that you have mentioned.
I have studied about the Darfur genocide, which began in 2003 in the Western Sudan, which
Okay.
targeted the non-Arab ethnic groups. Over,
Okay. Non-Arabic groups in the part of Sudan, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Can we have one more and then we will move on to the session?
Sorry.
Thank you, Saurav. I just
One
want
more,
one
any
more
other? Yeah.
student to answer and then we will move on to today's session.
Hello.
Yes, Da,
Hello.
continue.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to uh, tell about genocide in Bosnia and
Hmm.
Herzegovina that happened in 1992. So
Okay.
there was a conflict between the Serbs, Croats, and the Muslims, and
Okay.
in there, Serbs committed genocide against the Bosnian Muslims, and where over 2 lakhs people were massacred, and the others were kept captivated.
Okay, good. Thank you, Das. Okay, I
Hello.
believe now the students have done enough homework. I have seen a lot of answers in the chat box and a lot of answers coming up from the student side. Okay, today we are on day 2. And as I told you the other day, I mean yesterday, we are going to talk about um, Holocaust, the history of Holocaust. But before that, as you were talking about genocide, genocide is, as you were mentioning, it is the mass killing, but mass killing based on some reasons like ethnic reasons or racial reasons or some kind of prejudice that you have towards some nations. So this would be the major cause of genocide. And if you take Holocaust, Holocaust is also genocide, mass killing of Jews. But the why Holocaust is being spoken so much, and why the other genocides were not that popular? There are two reasons. One reason is this Holocaust is different from other genocides in a way it is very systematic. The way Nazis killed these Jews are entirely different from the way the other genocide happened. It was no programmed, pre-programmed, and they had people to write theories on how to kill the Jews. So it was very systematic. That is where this genocide differs from other genocides. One thing. The second thing is, there are a lot of genocides happened, and even now, as I'm speaking, a lot of genocide happening. Now, as presently, you have Gaza genocide. But why Holocaust differs? The second reason is you have empty numbers of Holocaust survivors who are capable of recording what happened for them inside the concentration camps. You don't have much evidence, you don't have much memoirs or autobiographies and biographies being created by other survivors of genocides, other genocides. But then for this particular event, Holocaust, you have a lot of memoirs, you have a lot of activists, you have a lot of museums, a lot of recordings, and whatnot. So these are the two ways how Holocaust differs from uh, other genocide that is happening. Okay, so we will see what is Holocaust. This is our content for today's session. What is Holocaust? And there is another word called Shoah. We'll see what is Shoah because the Jews prefer this word, Shoah, rather than using the word Holocaust. So we will see what is Holocaust. And today we know now 6 million Jews were killed by the Jews. But why are they killed? That is anti Semitism. We will see what is anti Semitism today. And what happened in Germany before Hitler and what happened after Hitler. During Nazi regime, what happened we will see. And also before Hitler coming to power, how was Germany? We will see that. And we will see the timeline of how the Holocaust event happened. And then what are the literatures are available in Holocaust. With that, our session will end today. So focus on today's lecture. Be very, more attentive for today's session so that you will have, your content for your PG or your other research papers and all of that. So it's a very interesting area. And in India, you have only few people working on Holocaust, say around 5 or 6. That would be the maximum people who are working on Holocaust. So Holocaust, as you were talking, it is the extermination of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime. But not just Jews. We only know that it is Jews. Jews are the predominant. They were killed in millions. But there are also other groups which had the same effect, which are the targets of the Nazis. They are um, the homosexuals and the anti-Nazi people and Jehovah Witnesses. All of these, you have other subcategories also that comes under the same Holocaust. So Holocaust actually means it's from a Greek term. It actually means the whole entire. Holos means whole, and cost means burnt. A whole burnt offering. A burnt offering to God. I'll tell you why Jews don't prefer this term. I'll tell you when we are seeing the next slide. See, now Showa, modern Hebrew people, I mean modern uh, Jews prefer Showa because this means, Showa means catastrophic. This name is more preferred by the Jews as Holocaust has a religious connotation. You know, see, when I say Holocaust, we all know that we are going to talk about Jews. Therefore, it is also important to know few important details about these Jews. The first thing is Jews are, according to Bible, they are the God chosen people. You know, Jews are different from Christian. If, say, for example, I am a Christian, but I am not a Jew. Jews are entirely different race. Okay, so that is one thing. Number two, Jews are in the Old Testament. If you take the Bible, you have Old Testament and New Testament. So all those details that you have now is from the Old Testament. You know, Jews have their God, but their God, they don't, the God exactly, he doesn't have a figure. Okay, he is just the light. That is all the God for Jews. And they have certain rules from their God, from their spiritual leaders. The first rule is when they commit a sin, when they are sinful, when they are um, very unclean because of the sin, then they are supposed to sacrifice a goat or say a hen or a bird, a dove to God, to their God. And when they sacrifice the blood of these animals, it is believed according to their scriptures that their sins are washed away. Okay, this was in the beginning. And then they also had a temple. The first temple was built by Solomon. I'm sorry for this small yes, it's a mistake. Solomon is son of David. All of these are again historical. The first temple was built by Solomon, and they had all the sacrifice happening inside that temple. And that temple was abolished, was destroyed by the Babylonian invasion during 585 BC. And then they again rebuilt the church. Again, the temple was rebuilt, and it was rebuilt during 535 BC. After it's rebuilt, you have the Jesus story and all. Jesus was born, Jesus was dead, he was resurrected. All the story happens. And around 17 AD, you have the church being destroyed again by Rome. So now, if you go back to Israel, you will not find the temple. There is no temple at all. They built once, it was destroyed by Babylonians, and then they built again, it was destroyed by the Roman people, and now there are no temple at all. Therefore, now they are not sacrificing anything to God. Presently, they are not sacrificing. Only when they build the third temple, they may try, sacrificing again, like the old times, they may start. Okay. Now, this is a small history. Now, it doesn't stop with killing the birds, but also they burn it. Okay, and then that burnt offering is an offering presented to God. Now, what happened inside Holocaust? You have gas chambers. When we go detailedly, you will understand. They had gas chambers. Inside the gas chambers, they add some tablets which are very dry, but once they get the moisture, they explode. Okay, very poisonous tablets, and the whole atmosphere will be poisoned. And if you are breathing that poisonous air, then you will die or you will become unconscious. After being dead or after becoming unconscious, the whole mass, say around 3,000 people, will be put into the gas chamber, into a small hall. And then the small pills will be introduced. And then the air becomes poisonous. You breathe the air and then you become unconscious. Now, this mass is taken to another place where they will be burnt. Some may be alive, They will feel the pain. Some are actually dead. So things will happen like this. It is a, again, this is not just something that is happening. They have written everything systematically. I'll tell you how they go about the process. Now, here people are burnt. And calling this as a sacrifice to God was not okay for these Jewish people. So they recommend using Shoah rather than using Holocaust. Today, Holocaust is a term being used everywhere, but personally, they use Shoah. And then I told you the reason behind anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is the prejudice that we have against the Jews, the dislike that we have against Jews, but we do not know the exact reason why we are so hateful against these Jews. The first reason, the hostility towards or the discrimination against Jews is anti-Semitism. Now, this is not something that happened during the Nazi period. This started, I would say, even from the biblical times, or exactly if you want to know the recent times, even before First World War, we have the same problem happening. We always have some prejudice, some dislike for the Jews. We do not know why. Okay? Many prejudice ideas we have. I tell you one prejudice idea. It was very interesting. You know, it is believed that these Jewish people used to uh, sacrifice live human beings instead of animals. It is believed that they used, the English or white children. They killed the children, and the blood was sacrificed to God. That was one idea. The second idea is they put Jesus Christ to death. You know, Jesus is believed to be the one of the gods for the Christian people, right? And he put Jesus in the cross. It was the Jewish people. So for them, for the Christians, they look at the Jews as someone who murdered Jesus Christ. That is reason number three. The third thing is that commerce. You see, even today, as I'm talking to you now, you can go to Google, you can check the top 10 or the top 20 Nobel Prize winners in history, or the richest people in history. You will only find Jews. I do not know how. They are the richest people on earth. They are the most talented, most brilliant people on earth. So these are the reasons we have the ideas against Jews. Okay, I believe you understand what anti-Semitism is. Today also we have anti-Semitism. Today, but the anti-Semitism and the Jews are entirely different. If you want to talk or if you want to discuss about today's Jews, then that is going to happen entirely in a different perspective. But I'm talking about the history, okay? And then comes Germany before Hitler. What happened to the what actually happened in Germany? Okay, and why Germany wanted or why Hitler wanted to kill Hitler? I mean, why Hitler wanted to kill the Jews? Now that is also very important. See, Jewish presence was like something that they don't want. The Germans doesn't want the Jewish people in that place. That is the reason for the whole event happening, for the whole Holocaust to happen. Now, say for example, um, now, what happened in south of India? We have Sri Lanka and we have Tamil Nadu in the south of India. And there is always a tug of war between Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu. We have a lot of Sri Lankan people here as refugees, and a lot of Tamil people who went to Sri Lanka were killed because Sri Lanka doesn't want Tamil people to live there. The reason is very simple. Their land is small and they don't want other country people to stay there. That is the only reason that they have. You understand? Now, this space has become a very important reason in everywhere. Now, the same is happening in North India also. Now, go around this Tibet or go to Nagaland areas there. What happens? China is trying to occupy India, and China is even naming some part of India with a Chinese name. Why? The basic, if you know, dilute the answers, everything comes to one single place, space, land. So the same for the German as well. For a very long time, right from 4th century, they had Jewish people in that place. So Jewish people were in their place. Jewish people were, doing their commerce. They were getting education. But as I told you earlier, these people were really very, very rich and very educated. Therefore, all the high places in the bank, all the high places in the colleges, in the schools, in the government, in fact, was occupied by Jewish people. Jewish people were in all these places. Jewish people were the richest. And if you go and check the bank details, all these Jewish people had rich bank accounts. I mean, they were in millions. And therefore, the next step is what? Unemployment happens. Now, even you can take the present example. What is happening in America or what is happening in Arab countries? Earlier, we had a lot of Indian people going to Arab countries and America. Today, it is not possible. Today, in Arab countries, especially like Saudi Arabia and Dubai, they have a, national policy that if you have a very big institution, then at least some percentage, at least some 70 to 40 to 70% must be their own people and only 30% can be from outside. They are trying to rewrite the norms because they want their people to have the jobs. So the same thing happened in Germany, but in a very different way. Why it is different? See, if, for example, there is a institution or say a place in Dubai where no lakhs and lakhs of Indians are working and then one day they say, I'm not going to give you any job, go back. All these Indians will definitely come back to India because they had a place. They have a place. They have their parents here. They have their family here. They may even own a house here. But for the Jews, it is not the same case. Today they have this right. But when this was happening, they don't have a land for their own. They were still fighting for their land. Only a few people occupied, and this tug of war between the Palestine and the Jews were there even in that time. Okay, so they don't have a concrete place for them to go. Therefore, now these people cannot be asked to go. One reason. The second reason is they were living there for so many years. It is not like they went there for a job and they were there for 10 years. Their grandparents were there, their great grandparents were there, so they were living there for centuries together. Therefore, it is not easy for Germany to push Jews out of their system, out of their country. Therefore, they thought that they could have some plan, some systematic plan, so that they will not have Jews in that place. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? The second thing is Jews played important role in the economic life of German cities. So all the Jews were rich and all the Germans were like more like servants to the Jews. So they want to change all this. And that is why they started a policy. See, Weimar Republic is the time where Jews were both in cultural and political sphere. There was time actually where Jews were ill treated all the time. No, people had prejudice against Jews, but Jews were flourishing, Jews were rich, Jews were educated. They had Jewish teachers. It was like that. Is someone trying to talk? Yes, Nikita? Okay. So, and so this is one thing. And then Germany also faced failure in World War One. See, when they failed, they just put the reason on the Jews. They said that Jews stabbed us back. We had a lot of Jews in our military, in our team, and they just stabbed us back. And only because of the Jews we failed. But that was not the case. Even if you go to Germany now, they have a lot of monuments for all these people who lost their lives during World War One, and most of them are Jews. So Jews were sincere at that time. So approximately, the 100,000 German Jews fought in the war, and 12,000 were killed. And you have all monuments, all records there. But still, they said that Jews were the reason. Now, at this time, when did the World War happen? World War One, 1914 to 1918. So after that, the Germany, that then present Germany was not a very good place for staying. There was a lot of unemployment to the extent where all the German women, you have also papers and books published on this. These women, they doesn't want to beget children because their husbands are jobless. So they went for abortions. So you have histories of that sort as well. Now, so the condition of Germany is bad after First World War. Only at that time you have your Hitler coming in. Hitler is a very young man during the First World War. He took part in the First World War, and there are also stories like he's a very he's more like a person who's afraid of everything. He's also afraid of blood. You have things like that. I'm not sure whether they are true. Okay. Now coming back to Nazi, yeah, Hitler. One thing that you should really appreciate about Hitler is his power, the power he had for his words. He's a great orator, and whoever listens to him becomes a Nazi. So Nazi is a government formed by him. National Socialist German Workers, shorthand form is Nazi Party. He started this in 1990, and with his power of oration, he had all the young minds of Germans with him. And when he is asking, see, he was so powerful to an extent where if he asked someone to kill himself, asked someone to commit suicide, those Nazi followers were even ready to commit suicide. So the power, his oration was such powerful. So, with his oration power, he came to power in 1933, January 30, 1933. He became the Chancellor of Germany, and that is the day where all the Jews started facing difficulties in breathing safely in Germany. So, his ideology is very simple. It is racial purity and anti-Semitism. See, this racial purity is not something that is only with the Nazis. Even you have this in India. You have certain, high caste people. They believe themselves to be the purest blood, and the others are, the mean and the untouchable. We have this such history. That's why today Dalit literature is flourishing in India. Same for the Britishers as well. They believe that the white skin is you know, the most pure and best race, while the blacks are treated as something subhuman, and black-skinned people are very, mm, very corrupt in nature. You have such ideologies, and you don't have proof for any of these. No scientific proofs for any of such racial beliefs that you have today. And anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is entirely for the Jews, and Hitler wrote all his agenda. Hitler had all his ideologies, all his programs on anti-Semitism. He just legalized hating Jews. He legalized punishing Jews. He legalized looting Jews. I'll tell you how this happened. Now, this timeline is important. Okay, so far I told you what happened with the Germany before 1933 and how Hitler came to power in 1933. And after this, what is happening is your timeline. So this is where the story comes. Rise of the Nazi Party in 1933. And after this, you have some laws being created by the government called Nuremberg Law in 1935. And after that, one important event happened, Night in 1938. Somewhere around November it happens. And then after that, Second World War begins. Along with Second World War, or I would say even before Second World War, some killing was already started. So you have ghettos. We will see what is ghettos and how ghettos are formed. We will see all that. And this is called Instagruppen. Instagruppen is again a killing mob. How this acted, we will see in the upcoming slides. And Wannsee Conference is more important, where they are deciding what to do with the Jews. And then you have the extermination camp. And along with the extermination camp, you have Death March in 1945. 1945, the story ends because Second World War also ends. Everybody know what German did to the Jews, and with that, the whole Holocaust comes to an end. So, rise of Germany. When did this happen? When Hitler came to power. And after that, you have this Nuremberg law. The law is simple because you see, they were trying to bring in the racial purity for these people, for the Germans, for Hitler. Aryan race is the best race. Aryan race is the purest form of race, highest superior form of race. And these Jews are subhumans. These Jews are, as I told you, they were sacrificing human blood. And you remember Shylock. Who is Shylock? Where Shylock comes? Yes, someone quickly put a text. When I say Shylock, what do you remember?
Merchant of Venice.
Very good. God bless. Merchant of Venice. And when I say Shylock, you actually connect him to a person who is a confused, no, who is money grabbing. So it is not just Shylock, but Shakespeare has used such ideologies from the society. So any Jew is considered like that. And even today, if you go to Disney and you see all the negative characters, they will have this long nose. All the witches and all, even from your Mickey Mouse, the bad characters, mostly they used to have a long neck. I mean, sorry, long nose. That is because it is a special characteristics attributed to Jews. But it is not so. Do you think only Jews can have long nose? That's not possible. Even in India, there are a lot of people who have long nose, and we used to call them, parrot and all that. We have different names for these people. In Tamil, we used to call such people as Muki. Muki is nose, and Muki is someone who has long nose. So now these are certain beliefs they have. And you know what happened during this time? Hitler gave rules to all the doctors. Hitler gave ideas to find how these Jews are. Say, for example, Jews were living in Germany for centuries. Therefore, it is possible that a German and a Jew could have get married and they could have child and grandchild and so on and so forth. Now, they want to purify their race because they have married the Jews and they have Jewish blood in them. They want to purify now. So comes the Nuremberg law where it no, it prohibits Germans from marrying Jews. No German should marry a Jew. And if you are married already, then you are called a Muslim. You are not a pure German blood. And then they are segregated like that. After segregating, they will give a name. I don't think I have added any pictures here, but then they will give a star where it will, in the middle it will be written B or J. J for Jew and B for David. Okay, you have a star, and then if you're going out, you are supposed to wear that star. If you are a Jew, you should wear that star. And as I told you again, since they were living in Germany for a very long time, their names become more or less the same. See, even it is happening here, no? There are so many specific names that belongs on to only to Hindus. And then there are certain names that belongs only to Muslims. Um, Only to Muslims, isn't it? So now what happens here? The same way, um, here, uh, yeah, um, you have certain names that are common both in Hindus and in Christian. One name, maybe I would say Santosh. Santosh is a name where probably it's a Hindu name, but even you have a lot of Christians using the name. So the same happened even in Germany, where a lot of German names are being used by the Israel people, by the Jewish people. So they started naming them differently. All the men should add David or Israel in their name or Abraham in their name, and all the women should have Sarah in their name as a surname. So that's how they were divided. And certain places you are not allowed to go. How we divide certain places for the Dalit community not to enter, certain temples and churches where certain peoples are not allowed to enter. The same way they divided their places, and that was not the end. Now look at this image. I think uh, you can try and you can look. Uh, Use this name. You can go to Google, where you can find even more pictures for the same. Crystal Notch Night is a very interesting and very important event in the history of Holocaust, because you know what happened here. There was one young man who was no, he's a very young man, and his parents were taken from one place. As I told you earlier, you are not allowed to live in certain places, right? All the Jews. So they were taken to some other place. And you know what happened that time? This man, this young man, when he heard news that all the Jews from the Poland are moved elsewhere, he was so agitated. And he killed a German, killed a Nazi. A boy of 16-year-old killed a soldier. That is all the event is. So, what the government should have done, the government probably should have taken this boy into the custody and they should have do the proceeding. Instead, this government, this Nazi government, they released a protocol. They released a rule. They released power to all the Nazis, telling that they can kill any Jews that they see. They can, destroy the buildings, destroy the synagogues, and destroy the shops of the Jews. So the first picture where you have all the doors broken is shops. All the glass doors are being broken. And the picture right down to that, where some the burning happening, is the synagogue. Synagogue is like a church for a Christian, a synagogue for a Jew. So that was burnt. And after this event, you know what happened? The Nazis were so vehement in their activities, and they stopped all the students, all the Jewish students. They were sent out. All the Jewish college students were sent out. All the Jewish professors and teachers were sent out, and they had separate hospitals for Jews and for the Nazis. So everything was separated, and within one night, everybody became jobless. All the Jews, they became jobless. But after this November incident, Crystal National Night incident, the very next day, you know what they did? All the Nazis, they started looting the house of uh, the Jews. Say, uh, Nazi will get into a Jewish house, and if he likes something, he will take it. If he likes the whole house, then he will send the people out. Or if he likes a girl, he will rape very much in front of his parents or her parents. No, your parents will see such things happening with a gun on their head. They'll be forced to watch such things, and the girl will be abused in front of their parents. And in the end, It is about their will and wish. If they want to kill the child, they kill and go. If they don't want to kill the child, they just throw her away and they go. Rape happen, gang rape happen, and everything in the very sight of their parents. This was just the beginning of the horror. And then at the same time, simultaneously outside, the World War II was also beginning. And the World War II, the main reason is again what happened with uh, Hitler. Hitler was no, he's not true to his words. He's a liar, I would say, because his lies were so much that he lied so much to the Jews. Therefore, the Jews trusted him one side. The second side, he was also not true to the treaties that he was signing. If you read the history, you will understand how he signed the treaty and how he went war against the treaty, and that became the reason for World War. Okay, that is one important reason. Now, before ghettos, I tell you how Jews were taken into the ghettos. Now, the first image that you see in the left corner is a um, cattle car, they used to call it, which is used to take cattle to a place. From one place to another place, they take cattle. And the first image, a writer says, in one cattle car, around 10 to 12 horses can be taken. Okay, just 10 to 12 horses can stand. And in that cattle car, around 80 to 90 people they can be accommodated. They can sit, they can be free, relaxed, they can breathe. Such cattle car. But in such cattle car, they have loaded around 500 to 1,000 people in one cattle car. It is not just that you can only stand, you cannot sit. That is one point. The second thing is if you look at the um, right first picture in the right, it is also closed. You will be closed, and the travel will take one week long, and you will only have minimum food, minimum water, minimum dresses in your hands. And think of the pregnant woman. Think of how many deliveries happened inside such cattle cars. And many children died inside the cattle cars because they couldn't breathe. Many old people died because they are very uncomfortable, they couldn't breathe. And people started defecating inside such cattle cars. You see, they just gave you one bucket of water and one bucket where you can defecate yourself, and that bucket was not cleaned regularly. Okay, so it was a very only Jews can express that in words. If I try and express what they went through, I think I will be doing injustice to what they suffered. So it was like that. But I want you to imagine how difficult their situation is. And after that, again, before getting into the ghettos, now if you see the lower two images, in one image people are standing in queue, and another image is where they are getting down of the rail car, and I mean the cattle car. And then the last image is they are standing in queue. Now what happens? They are being taken to the ghettos. Ghettos is where you can go stay as a family, probably for very short time. You can stay as a family with your child and with your mother and all. And from there, soon you will be taken to camps. There are two camps. One is concentration camp. The other is extermination camp. I will also talk to you about the selection process when we talk about the camps in the next class. Because today we are talking only about the history. Tomorrow we will talk about the identity erasure. So at that time, I will talk to you about how they are divided. So for now, they are taken into ghettos. And that is not the only way. There is also another way of killing these people. One is Instagruppen, where they will go in a car. All the soldiers, all the Nazi soldiers, they will have loaded guns. They will go around. They will find few Jews. They will put them together and they will kill them like this. Now look at the picture, how they are killing those old people or young men. Okay, and they didn't stop here. They even there are historical evidences, or I would say record documented, which says they used to toss small children, say a child 6 months old or 3 months old. You can easily toss the child in the air, and they used to try and shoot the baby perfectly. So it was fun for them. Killing has become a fun for these Nazis because they had so much power. So it is pure abuse of power was happening inside Germany. So this was one way of killing. And the pathetic condition of this instant group in killing is first they will collect the Jews and they will ask these Jews to dig a hole in the ground for putting the dead bodies. After digging a grave, those who dig the grave will be killed and they'll be put in the uh, graveyard. So it's mass killing and then you have mass graveyard. So it was like that. And after this, but you have 6 million Jews and killing people with a gun and with going around with your guns is not possible. How to kill these people or what to do with these 6 million people, they do not know. The first idea they had is to put these people in an island called Madagascar. Okay. Madagascar is a place somewhere near France, I would say. I'm not very sure. Maybe you check. They wanted to send all these people there, but at that time, Madagascar were under the control of France, and Germany was not with good terms with the France people. Therefore, they couldn't do it. Number one. Number two, if they want to transport these people there, it takes a lot of money and they are not good with the economy at that time to send 6 million people food and water for all these people to put them there. So they thought, see, already they believe that Jews are not good people. Jews are, more like subhumans, more like very, very bad people on earth. So why to transport these people and spend a lot of money on these people? Instead, let us kill them. That is the plan. And then, therefore, you have, as I told you, you had two camps. One is concentration camp, and the other one is the extermination camp. So, in extermination camp, people are killed. In concentration camp, people are used for working. This we will discuss in detail in the next class. Now, this is death march. You know, this is why we always get to hear that if you are committing some crime, you cannot hide it for a very long time. The same happened with the Germans as well. They couldn't hide what they are doing to the Jews for a very long time. Therefore, you had a lot of people coming in. I mean, the Allied force and the Russians, the Soviet Union were coming in. They were trying to find what is happening inside Germany at that time. They want to destroy the evidence. So, you know what these people did? They destroyed all the documents. But what will you do with the remaining people who are alive? So, they took these remaining alive people on a walk. This walk is called Death March. Nobody knew where they are going. Nobody knew why they are going, including the Nazis. Even the Nazis do not know where they are being taken. And the condition was so poor. Already they were malnourished. They don't have proper food. They don't have proper water. So during the death march, many were killed. Many died during that time. So that happened, and finally, with that, your Holocaust comes to an end. So all these people who survived, they were taken to the hospitals and they were uh, alive for us to tell the story, tell the story of what happened inside the camps. So this is Holocaust. The history of Holocaust is this. And then comes Holocaust studies. So, what is Holocaust studies? Nothing but you study about Holocaust. But are you going to just work on the history? No. You can work on the history, on the trauma, memory, and the testimonies, and the international relations. How this tragedy was, looked by the United Nations. How the internationally, how Catholics, how they work for this, or are they with the Jews, or are they against the Jews? You can explore in different levels, and you can also work on the Nazi Germany. During Nazi regime, these things were happening to Jews, but what was happening to the German people? You can also work on that. Or all the German people wanted to kill the Jews? No, the answer is no. There are a lot of stories where even the Nazi German people, they saved a lot of Jewish people. So you have a lot of things to work on. Holocaust studies. Some of the literature being written so far is poetry, life writings like memoirs, diaries, journals, novels. Today you have novels, movies, and I'm sorry for the spellings. You can also work on the writers, survivors, Nazis, and today you have second generation Holocaust writers and third generation Holocaust writers. Second generation Holocaust writers is very simple. See, for example, I am the survivor of Holocaust, then I am the first generation. And if I have a child, for most of the people, their children were killed inside the camp itself by the Nazis. But there are few cases where they hid their child or they were pregnant inside the camp and they were liberated. And there comes the second generation. The child of the first survivors becomes the second generation. And then the third generation is they have no connection at all with the Holocaust. But then they connect themselves emotionally because the history was huge. So that is your third generation. So that is all. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an enlightening and thought provoking session. Your insights have truly deepened our understanding of the enduring scars left by trauma, not only in Holocaust literature, but also within the broader context of human experience. The way you skillfully navigated today's session has provided us with much to reflect on, and we eagerly anticipate hearing more from you in the upcoming sessions as we continue to explore how these profound scars shape both individual lives and collective histories. Now it's time for the participants to engage. Please feel free to either type your questions in the chat box or unmute yourselves to speak directly. Now we have a question here. What is the original place of the Jews where they originally belonged to?
What is the original place of the Jews where they originally belong to Israel? The present Israel that you see today, if you biblically you trace them back, they belong to that place. But then what happened? Uh, for a very long time, they were taken as slaves to other places like Egypt and Babylon. As a whole, they were taken, and as a whole, they failed their nation, and you had a lot of other people coming into that place. But originally, they belonged to their own place, and today they happen to fight for their own place. The saddest part is they don't fight the way that we wanted them to fight. Today, I don't agree with the way they are fighting, but I believe that their place is there. Um, so see, this is. Thank you so much for the question, Samantha. You're right. You don't have the facts. You don't have the facts of Holocaust. You only have the facts from the survivors' history because all the documents were being destroyed. How many were killed each day? When we are progressing at the day progress, we will talk about all that. But as such, you don't have much evidence or much documented history of Holocaust. All the history that we receive today is from the um, survivors. Okay, so that is there. I am personally I am not happy or I don't agree with all the novels and fictions that you have today because most of them are very fictional. They don't have any value. So, and they do it for the popularity. And there are even cases where people write memoirs as if they suffered in the camp. There are evidences. There is one person called Frances Fanon. I'm not sure. Some Fanon, her name is. She called herself a musician inside the camp. And if you read her memoir, you will move into tears. And then it was found that she was a Jew, but she was not in the camp at all. She was somewhere in France when she wrote this memoir. She became popular. So there are such stories as well. So the narrative things that you have, the maximum truths that you can get is only from the memoirs. And yes, it is done intentionally for the uh, popularity, for becoming famous or for money, only that. Yes, ma'am. Um, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany on January 13, 1933. But before that, Jews were rich and powerful in all the fields. Then how did Hitler come into power? See, politics is different from you being rich. That is a very different story. Even I can become a political leader and you can become a political leader, and I don't see you as a threat. So you are becoming a political leader. There is nothing wrong in that. And you know, the promise that he was giving is actually for the Germans. And for the Jews, there were no promise at all. But one stupid thing that I personally feel about Jewish people is they blindly followed every rules. When Hitler asked these people to get out of their place, nobody protested against it. They were like a sheep following the leader. They blindly followed every rules given by the Jews. That's why they are today in a very difficult position. They should have taken stand, and that's why today you see these Jewish people. They are taking very vehement stance, very no, very cruel and very no, very I would say uh, very violence. They are handling everything with violence because on that day they were silent. When they asked them to go out, they were like, okay, we will go out. Everything is for the good. We believe in the government. They were doing things like that. So that is why they didn't worry about Hitler coming into politics. Can art, literature, or film ever adequately represent the horrors of the Holocaust, or is the event too vast and too traumatic for any medium to fully capture? What are the ethical considerations in representing such atrocities? See, art, literature, and film. Art is to teach and delight, as your Greek philosopher would say. But you can language becomes very inadequate, as we were discussing earlier. It becomes very inadequate when you want to express such vast event, such a horrible event. You know, only you can use few words, but what they actually experienced is something that you could never convey. But if you are trying to portray it, then you must be true to something. You should have some evidence in your hands. Some, if I'm say the if I'm taking a memoir written by somebody and I'm bringing that as a movie, then that is well and good. If I'm going to color it, then that is different. If I'm going to color it, then I'm coloring it for the audience or for the money or for the protection or for something. And that shouldn't happen. If you want to picture it, then picture it as it is. That is more important. Any other questions? So tomorrow, when coming back, you should think of what is identity. Don't go to any books, don't go to your internet sources. Tell me what is your identity. What is your identity? If I ask you, you should be able to answer. Think of that. You cannot call yourself I am Annie and that's my identity. I am Indian and that's my identity. I am so and so's daughter and that's my identity. It shouldn't be like that. Think what is your unique identity, and tomorrow we will continue our session. Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for your active participation and cooperation today. Once again, I extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed resource person, teachers, professors, participants, and friends for making this session so enriching. My sincere thanks to the professors from other colleges who have joined us today, Dr. Amit Shukla from Arya Mahila College and Dr. Priyanka from Agrasen PG College. We are grateful for your presence and participation. I now request everyone to please turn on your cameras for a bit for a group picture. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Any notifications regarding the workshop will be communicated via our WhatsApp group, so please stay tuned. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.